I was tagged in this post, and this post is the precise reason why women need to learn boundaries, what they really, really want in life, and how to be assertive and communicate what they really, really want in life. Because when you are kind of wishy washy and you kind of go with the flow, or you don't know how to speak up for yourself, you get to this point of, resentful on the back end if you're not doing what you want in life. Now, I'm not sure if this woman is going to learn to be assertive and speak to her husband how she wants to or needs to, but this is going to be a cautionary tale for the rest of us. She says, he wants a second. I don't. She says, hi everyone. I'm struggling with how to communicate to my partner that I don't want a second kid and could really use some advice. This is long, so my apologies for that. We have a wonderful, healthy 3-year-old, but pregnancy was a nightmare for me, as was my year of maternity leave, aside from, of course, the beautiful, wonderful parts we all know. During pregnancy and the couple of years after, I gained a bunch of weight, lost who I was, coped in unhealthy ways, and just all around did not enjoy life. So when my husband asked for a second one, I said no. I couldn't further sacrifice my mind and body until I got my health and mind back to a place in which I could thrive and be happy. He didn't take this well, never really saw the importance of it, and didn't understand why I felt likely I couldn't achieve those things while pregnant. Finally, when our child was capable of being more independent, I got my life back, rediscovered who I am, lost all the weight, and felt all around fantastic. Woo! So when he asked me again for a second, I said sure, as I had achieved my goals, right? Well, didn't go well. I had to go off of one of my 2 antidepressants as it isn't pregnancy safe. And after a brief withdrawal, that actually went well until we actually started trying. We tried for one cycle and it was mental torture. I was so anxious all month, so stressed about doing this whole thing again. Started stress eating like crazy and just generally felt like the life and body I had triumphantly reclaimed was being ripped away from me again. When my period was late, I immediately regretted the decision to try. It ended up being over a week late, not because I was pregnant, but because of stress, according to my doctor. So now here I am, faced with telling my husband only a few months after agreeing to a second one that I've changed my mind. I know he's going to be devastated and try to convince me that it's the right decision and that he will be there to help. But I just flat out don't want to sacrifice so much of myself again. And to be honest, his version of help doesn't feel like help. I'm sure some of y'all can relate to that. LOL. I want to keep on the awesome path I was on before this and see what other beautiful things I and we can do in this life aside from children. I know he's going to get defensive, and he has said some pretty mean things surrounding this topic, including such gems as other moms can do it. Why can't you? I just don't want to. You didn't have hobbies before we had a kid. What makes you think you're going to get some now? Prove that wrong. Don't listen to this, y'all. Listen to this, y'all. He's a really nice guy, and he's never like this in other situations, but he's a full-fledged asshat when it comes to this topic. Y'all, she needs to figure out how to say this to this man who doesn't mind saying these mean things to her. She says, so yes, any advice or thoughts are so welcome. Tidbits. Our agreement before marriage was one kid and we'll see how it goes. Although he admitted he just assumed that meant at least two. She says, I've been an anxious person since I was little, and depression is deeply genetic for me on both sides. It's pretty easy for me to manage and thrive with outside of the hyper stressful times mentioned above. Women, we are the ones. I'm so glad that women are speaking about pregnancy and the after effects so plainly, so that people know that it is not a walk in the park always. Some pregnancies are easier than others, some labors are easier than others, but the impact, the snapback that some people have, great, great, let's get it. But not everybody's body reacts like that. Not everybody's labor is easy like that. Postpartum is a real thing. Sleep deprivation is a real thing. Hormones fluctuating are a real thing. The impacts are not just on your body, it's in your brain as well. Those hormones are a mother. So only do this if this is something that you really, really want to do, not something you were pushed or coerced into doing, not something that you didn't consent to, meaning that they took away your consent, if you know what I mean. And don't do this because someone is saying mean things to push you into it, because you're the one, as a woman, we're going to be the one that is connected to this baby, whose body is building in ours, who hangs off of our bodies if you're a breastfeeding mommy. So please know and understand that unless you are like excitedly wanting to do this, not to do this. So this man said some really kind of nasty things to her, but she's sitting up here trying to figure out and craft something remarkable to say to this man. Think about that. He has no censor when it comes to her and her feelings, but she's sitting up here trying to figure out, how do I convey this to him? You just tell him, I thought I wanted to do this, but it my brain, my mental health is going to suffer. I'm seeing how I'm feeling right now, and I just can't do this. All right, so some of the comments. American Peony says, more children is a two yes situation. Any person who has ever been born into this world and not truly want it would tell you 100% do not have a second child if you don't want to. It isn't fair to the child, it isn't fair to you, and for the rest of your marriage, you'll resent this decision. The OP says, love this. Thank you so much. Whitwatt says, I second this. And it's the kind of resentment that's insurmountable because it'll be tied to guilt and a live human being for the rest of your life. I'd ask him if it's more important than your family of three, which is what you'd be risking. When my husband asked about a second, he said he wants one, but it's my call because he wants me more than a second kid. He was sad and cried, etc., but he still reiterated he'd rather have me and the first one than a second kid and end up without me in the end. Booker Squared says, I wouldn't have had one baby with this man, much less two, if I'm being honest. What you described as a nice guy is not a nice guy. Tell him you don't want a second child. He isn't much help with the one you have anyway. And he says really unkind things to you that don't make you feel supported. Be blunt. Slammergram says, I said the same thing. She said he's great in every other way, but I bet he isn't. Top FM says, tell him you'd gladly give him a second. She says, gladly have a second kid with him if he will take over being pregnant and being the main caregiver. And then the OP says, seriously. Sphinx says, as women, we are the ones who have to change our entire life for pregnancy. What we eat, how we move, how we feel, how we work, so on and so forth. And it's not taking into account the medical complications. So if you don't want to go through it again, you have every right to stand your ground. He is just going to have to accept it. My husband would like a second one too, but I'm done. I do not want to go through pregnancy again. He understands and has accepted it. It's your body, it's your choice. I know we have to compromise in marriage, but it's hard to compromise when so much of our lives, our bodies, and our minds are affected in order to have a child. If he doesn't accept your decision, that's his problem, not yours. I'm going to end it there because that is why I said in the beginning, we have got to learn some boundaries, learn our values and what we really want in life, and learn how to properly communicate that and be assertive with that. In order to have a marriage where you're not run over completely, you need to learn boundaries, what you want in life, and how to communicate it. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.